All right, so we are officially live. Live and live and live and. Okay, y'all. So real quick before we get started, um, if you have the live up on another screen, mute the actual live so you don't have an echo. That's one thing I forgot to tell you both. Come on in a room. Come on in a room. We a little late, but that's okay. We here, y'all. So pop on in. Pop on in. Hey, Curtis. Hi, Kiana. Hello. Hi, Ran and Sector. Hello. Hey. So tell first of all, before we get started, y'all definitely got to tell us where y'all tuning in from. I love to see and read where you all are tuning in from. So please share where you all are tuning in from. Yeah, I'm streaming this on YouTube too. So I'm excited to have this on YouTube and on LinkedIn. This is really dope. I love this kind of platform. Hey Celeste, hey Jessica. Um, hey Laura. Jersey. I just came back from Jersey like last night. So Jersey in the building. Stand up. Hallelujah, holla back. Brooklyn, Dallas, Maryland, Alabama, Tampa, Chi-Town, San Antonio, Raleigh, you right around the corner from me. Kentucky, Cincinnati, perfect. Atlanta and Massachusetts, LA, perfect. Okay. So I want to introduce two amazing people who I have on the panel. I wanted to bring in Jerra and Shafeeq because these are two amazing individuals who were able to pivot from from another position into tech, specifically tech sales. And so we understand that the industry is getting a lot of influx when it comes to tech sales specifically. A lot of people want to be in tech sales, partially probably because that's where the money resides. So and the flexibility of it all. So I wanted both of you to have the opportunity to come and share your experience, share your story a little bit. Hey, Cam, share your story a little bit and talk a little bit about your journey. But first, let's go ahead and introduce yourself. So, Shafeeq, I'll let you go first.
What's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? My name is Shafeeq. Coming in from, I'm actually in Atlanta right now, Georgia, but I'm originally from New York, Southside Jamaica, Queens. Stand up, we gotta say that first off. But man, I'm just super grateful to be in this space with you guys. I'm really nobody, just putting in the work and reaping the results. And I just want to thank God first off, because without Him, none of this is possible. So but yeah, like I said, from New York originally. I ran into Shanae actually not too long ago, guys, and the reason why I say that is because Shanae is a pure person. And I just want to give it up to her for allowing us to come on here and share our stories. And I feel like it's extremely important for us to have spaces like this, and I always felt like that. So I felt like reaching out to Shanae was one of the first things I did, and from day one she was supportive. So I wouldn't be here without her. So what's up to everybody? Thank you for tuning in, man. This is my first time actually being on something like this. So if I'm a little shaky, just just let you know. Just keep it low. Just tell me afterwards. DM me, give me some tips. I like the feedback.
I love it. So you're amongst friends and you're amongst family. So no need to be nervous. We like to have very powerful conversation when we come on our my platform.
Absolutely.
Jira, what's up, girl?
Hey. Thank you so much for having me on here. I want to say I've been following you since the very beginning when LinkedIn wasn't considered cool. I was on LinkedIn and so are you. So it's amazing just seeing your growth and congratulations on everything you have going on. I see you're speaking I can't think of the conference name, but I saw it the other day. Huh?
Nesby.
Yes, yeah, Nesby. But yeah, so congratulations with everything. I fully support what you're doing. Okay, so my name is Jerra, for those that don't know who I am. I currently live in Phoenix, Arizona. Prior to this, I was living in Atlanta, and I grew up in Gary, Indiana. So listen to that. I'm pretty sure y'all can resonate with or say that I can resonate with Cyrus because he also grew up in Gary, and he lives in Atlanta now. So yeah, I have a very strong background in both higher education and HR. I've done everything in HR except recruiting and firing people, basically. And I also have experience in payroll. And I wanted to pivot into tech, just a short summary. So I always tell people that my father's death inspired my pivot into tech because, when he passed away, he was going to retire next year. So clean out his place. I saw that he had a list of, things he wanted to do when he retired and places he wanted to visit. And, respectfully, I said, I don't want to be like that. I want to find a job that will allow me to travel while I'm working and still live my life and not allow life to live me. So that's what inspired me to break into tech. And I'm here now and I'm ready to share the rest of my story and answer any questions you have for me.
I love it. So I think it's interesting when people seek out tech, because I did not seek it out. Like I genuinely, I
Right.
told say this a million times. Like I had an email saying that my company was looking for recruiters, and I was like, okay, and I just applied. So I love when people seek out kind of what they're looking for because it helps me understand, I guess, the passion behind really wanting to work in a specific field and why it's important for you to work in that specific field. And Jira, just by the way, in the comments, you're getting some condolences for losing your father. Um, so let's get into it. So, first question, we'll go to you, Shafeeq. I am currently enrolled in a cloud architect bootcamp, and although I am learning and developing a host of new skills, I can't help but wonder where people new to the field fit. I know I will be able to add value wherever I go, but even with my newly developed skill, I probably won't perform at the level of an experienced cloud architect. So, my question is, what are the expectations companies have for new employees that have gained their knowledge from boot camps, especially at top tier companies?
Yeah, and that's a great question. Shout out to you for asking it. And first off, I want to say naturally we fit anywhere we're comfortable, anywhere we're most comfortable. So, it may be a longer process, but I feel like the first step is to really put a lot of time into the companies that you're applying to. Make sure that they're the right fit for you. It's bigger than just what they're paying. It's also about the culture. And for me personally, I feel like that's one of the biggest things if we're going into to a in a workplace. It's one of the most important things to consider. You're going to be spending most of your time there throughout the week. So it's really important to choose the right place and do a lot of research on those places as well to make sure you're making the right decision. But the expectations are no different for someone coming from a boot camp as opposed to someone that just graduated from a 4-year university. It's the same expectations, especially at top tier companies, because top tier companies are going to have certain expectations, certain metrics and numbers that you need to hit on a daily basis. And it really just comes down to, the ability. What's your work ethic like, and how much time and effort are you putting into not only learning what you need to do to be successful, but achieving those numbers and staying consistent on a daily basis. So the expectations do not, sometimes it depends on the company as well. There's no way to know unless you do the research. So, and then also, for example, in my situation, I actually graduated from course careers. So, there was an optional project that we had to do at the end of the course. If you're currently enrolled in course careers, you probably know what I'm speaking of. And that project is optional, yes, but it's extremely beneficial for you to do that and do that to the best of your ability, because not only is it going to give you a real life scenario of what your role will entitle on a daily basis, but it's going to expose you to multiple different companies And that way you have a great list to choose from and do research on. And for example, the company that I work at, they had best workplace in a specific state for multiple months, and that's just something you can't turn away from. You have to acknowledge that. So in my opinion, the goal should really just to be, exceed the expectations that are set, depending on the situation in the company. But you should always be aiming to exceed the expectations, and you should have no problems, as long as you're putting the right foot forward, being positive. And if you've done the research and made sure that it was the right fit and the culture is right and it fits you, you should have no problem fitting in. So I think that was kind of long-winded, and I apologize for the long answer, but I think it's a very intricate question, and I feel like it differs for each person. But it really just comes down to making the right decision and putting in the work that's required of you to not only, impress who you're interviewing with, but be a better person in general.
Yeah, I love that. I want to stay there for a second though, because I understand that question. I understand the question of, if I am new to something and I am working alongside of someone or people in general who have more experience and or they've been with the company longer, how do I fit, right? When I start, when my day one comes, how do I fit in that space, and kind of the nervousness of, am I going to be successful or not? And so I've dealt with that. Like, I didn't go to school for HR. I went to school to be an attorney. And so when I went into HR, my first role as a recruiter, I kind of was just thrown into it. I was prepared because I had great people to prepare me, but I was very much thrown into, okay, here's your work, and then here we are for help if you have questions. And I think that first question kind of goes to that. So Shafeeq, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about your story of why you wanted to get into tech in the first place. And then from why you wanted to get into tech, how are you able to be successful in landing the role that you're in now?
An amazing question. And, I really, first of all, thank you for breaking it down so I can get a little bit deeper.
Mm-hmm.
And I can
Yeah,
really relate
we
to.
get real on these. We get real on these.
I know, absolutely. It's necessary. But yeah, I can really relate to your story, and I was kind of thrown into it as well. It really stemmed from my love for music. I have to take it there. I went to school actually to be an audio engineer, believe it or not. And the only reason why I did that was because I've always been intrigued by technology in general. But I never saw it as a career path. I just saw it as an interest. And for me personally, before I actually started following this path, I was just working regular jobs and security, retail, mostly retail, but everything under the sun. And in those instances, it was just work for me. I wasn't interested in what I was doing. It was just something that I was naturally good at. And I knew that it was something that I could pursue and be successful in, but the spaces that I was in at the time, there was a ceiling that I felt like I was crashing into, and I couldn't really grow in those positions, and it kind of uh, it affected me in a way where I didn't really have an interest in going to work. And um, you know, I was actually living in California. I'm gonna make it short. It's a long story. But I was living in California for a while, and things got extremely tough, like very, very tough, to the point where, if any of y'all know what EBT is, let's just say I was getting creative with EBT, food stamps. And it was bad, but I was always confident in myself and the things that I could achieve. And I actually met an amazing woman. I have to give her the most credit in the world. My girlfriend. And we had a long distance relationship, and she really helped me out in those times. So that was really the mindset shift for me. And through us being together, and I actually ended up moving to Georgia, to be closer to her, and just pursuing the things that I really wanted to do further on in my life. And one of those things happened to be tech. And I came across, for those of you who know Cyrus, obviously, I was like, you know what? I want to be a software engineer. I feel like that's dope. I'm gonna go to school. I'm gonna actually learn, the right things to do and how to do it to the best of my ability, because it's an interest. And I felt like it was important to follow those things. And something in me switched, and I was like, you know what? I have experience in sales. I'm good at it. And I also have, an interest in tech. It makes sense to combine them both, and really do something that I'm passionate about. So I looked at a bunch of different boot camps, like a lot of them that were extremely expensive, and some of them that weren't so expensive. And I felt like Course Careers was, out of all of those opportunities, I felt was the best decision, just based, and that goes hand in hand with what I was talking about earlier. The company that you choose has to be something that you feel is the right decision. So I went with Course Careers, and they were amazing. Like I can't put it into words, but the value that I received, it ignited a fire that I felt like I had lost in those, mundane, day-to-day, just regular jobs that you had, you know, things that you really didn't want to do. It ignited something in me, and it made me hungry. So, honestly, the long story short, I've been hungry from the beginning, and I felt like this was the opportunity for me to really go out there and do things the right way, and try to provide for my family in any way that I know how. That's one of the things that drives me the most. So, it's a lot that I can say, about my story. I don't want to take away time from Jerra, because I'm pretty sure her story is extremely amazing, and I'm interested to hear more for her journey. But after Course Careers, I applied to a bunch of different companies. Ended up going with one of the best ones. And I've been working my butt off ever since, to the point where there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes that I'm not even aware of. So you just got to be hungry, and I feel like that's very cliche, but that really is what represents me and why I'm even in front of you guys. To be honest with you, I just been hungry from day one. And I want to be a better person overall, and this is just one of the avenues that I'm taking to accomplish that goal. So hopefully all of that makes sense.
I love that. Thank you. Jerra, let's go to you. Before I get to your question, I do want to know a little bit more about why you wanted to go into tech. I know you shared it before, but just tell us a little bit about why you wanted to go into tech, specifically in tech sales, and then how you were able to be successful from the bootcamp you chose.
Yeah. So, like I said, I live in Phoenix now. Prior to me moving to Phoenix from Atlanta, I landed a job here already. I came here on a Saturday. And I started my job on the following Monday. It was in a hybrid environment. I was working there for 10 months. Then my father got sick, had to fly down to New Jersey because that's where he lived at the time. Um, and went to the hospital. Long story short, 5 days later, he passed away. Um, and I had to stay there to, get the funeral prepared and then clean out his house and things like that. So when I got back to work, I discovered that I was not in my right state of mind. I was forgetting stuff. I was one of their top performers there before the funeral and before my father passed. But when things, transpired, I was no longer myself. I was forgetful. I forgot my job. I was, wasn't myself at all again. So I asked for extra time off to better process the grief and to work through the grief as well. Long story short, they wouldn't give it to me. Um, so, like I said, I found those notes and stuff in my father's place that he wanted to visit certain places when he retired, and that was part of my inspiration to going into tech. Um, you mentioned this. So when I got one of the insurance checks for my father passing, that's when I decided to resign and process the grief and take some time off to like heal and breathe. So during that time, that's when I learned about Cyrus and his Instagram lives and YouTube channels, things like that. So that's when I started looking more into tech sales or sales engineering. I chose the boot camp that Cyrus was enrolled in. Did that. Now I will say this: The instructors were amazing. The community was amazing. I chose that boot camp because I felt like I needed something that was live where I could, interact and network and ask my questions right then and there to the instructors. So that's why I chose that specific boot camp. Um, yeah, so I graduated from there. I was number two, second runner up to the salutatorian spot. So I'm really proud of that. But yeah, I discovered, I got a few interviews after graduating, but some of the interviews were saying that, 'cause I would always make it to the second and third rounds, fourth rounds. But when I would do the demos, they would say that I wasn't, excited enough. I didn't sound excited enough. And one hiring manager said that I didn't, because I didn't have tech sales experience, that's why they kind of didn't choose me. So I was just taken through the ringer with a lot of those sales engineering interviews. And that's what discouraged me and made me want to pursue tech sales. I feel like if I hadn't gone through what I'd gone through with my father, I would have had more grit, more determination. But I was just tired. Like you ever experience not just physical tiredness, but your soul is just tired. That's how I
Yeah.
felt. I was tired of going through those interviews, not getting jobs because I had never experienced that before. I would get jobs easily. Like some of y'all can check my LinkedIn, check the receipts, like they say. um, I've had good jobs in the past, but yeah. So I chose tech sales because I wanted to experience going through the interviews without having to do a demo because that was kind of stressing me out. So I got a job in tech sales, and then I decided to enroll in course careers. Yeah, course careers, because I never had that sales experience before, and I wanted to learn more about the job. Because when you're working in tech, it's continual learning, and you want to like stay on top of things. So that's why, some of y'all wonder why did she do two tech boot camps? So that's why.
Well, a lot of people do two tech boot camps, but I love how you got your job and but then decided to continue that professional development. I think that's where people miss it. Like they get the job and they stop from the at the development part. So I love that. So let's go to the next question. So Jira, a question came in that said, I've been on the search for 3 months and I'm not able to get a single interview. My main questions for Jira and Shafeeq is, did they get discouraged during the job search? And if so, how did they overcome it?
Yes, absolutely. I got discouraged. Before I was getting interviews, I wasn't getting any interviews, if that makes sense. But yeah, I just allowed myself time to process those emotions. I did get frustrated. I did get discouraged, but I didn't quit. I allowed myself some time to take a break. I would just spend time outside. I know some of y'all live in colder climates, so it may be hard for y'all to do that. But yeah, I would just take time to implement self care. And then when it's all said and done, that's when I was able to pick back up. And let me just say this. So I also enrolled in the tech mindset, which was started by one of the instructors at the other boot camp I went to prior to Course Careers. And he had us on a 30-day challenge to apply to jobs every day for 30 days. So after I had got out of my funk, if you want to call it that, um, that's when I got more diligent in applying. So to answer that question, I would say set a challenge, for 30, 31 days, apply no matter what, no matter how tired you are. If you don't see anything that stands out to you, apply anyway, because you never know. And, just be diligent, but allow yourself to process those emotions too. Acknowledge what you're feeling.
Shafeeq, I know you didn't pick to answer that question, but did you want to answer that question too?
Nah, I think Jared gave an amazing answer, so I don't want to take away from that. I completely agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I was discouraged too, to be honest. Like I know I'm not in tech sales, but I applied for 4 years. So until you've applied for years, um, I completely understand that fatigue, like you were talking about, that your soul being tired, and that goes to your mental, your physical, your emotional, every part of you is exhausted. And so So yeah, I love the diligence aspect of it because it does help us to understand how much we have to continue to move forward. I love that. Um, so next question, Jira, let's stick with you. What is the best answer? Um, what is the best answer you can give when it comes to telling someone about your experience with cold calling? If you don't have experience with that.
Good question. So, of course, I didn't have that experience. I got the kind of the same question, but I answered it in I kind of cracked a joke. So he asked me, how do you feel about making cold calls? And with me, I live by myself. So I said, I need somebody to talk to anyway. So I don't mind making cold calls because it's kind of too quiet in here. But to answer that question, just be honest and say you don't have the experience. So, okay, so let me act like I'm answering it to make better sense. So although I don't have the cold calling experience, I've been doing research and I'm enrolled in the tech boot camp. Hopefully he or she is. And I'm enrolled in the tech boot camp and I've learned these things. And so when I do make cold calls, I'll go into it with a positive attitude. I'll make sure to listen to who's ever on the other end of the call, take notes and ask relevant questions to see if they're a good fit for the product or service that we have. I hope that helps.
I love that. Sorry, I got I got caught up in going through the comments. Shafiq, let's pivot to you for a second. So my questions revolve around tailoring your non sales and non tech resume or experience to correlate with tech roles such as SDR, AE, and customer success positions. If there is a key to really focus in on your resume to reflect that, what would it be, or what would be the starting points?
Absolutely. And that's another great question. I wrote down these answers, so I'm gonna start reading from them so I can provide as much value as possible. So for that one, I said, my best advice for this scenario is, start by reviewing the requirements and expectations of those roles. And then, combing through every single piece of work experience you have and finding strategic ways to word that experience to the extent of being relatable, to the same requirements of that role. So pretty much what I was saying there is go through those role requirements, and then also compare that to your resume and find creative ways to word that transferable experience, because it's possible. And I'm pretty sure that it's a lot more difficult for specific situations. So I'm not really sure what that person's situation is. And I don't want to make it seem like it's that simple, but that's a great starting point. Really just, zero in on what those requirements are and try to match them in ways, and if you can't, that's okay. There's other ways to do it as well, but I would start there. And then, honestly, the best thing to do is tell the truth. Transferable skills are highly overlooked. So if you put that work in, you know, it's gonna reflect. It's gonna reflect in your resume, and it's also gonna reflect in your interview skills. And then lastly, network with those people that you might connect with on LinkedIn that's in those roles, and ask them questions. Ask them if they mind going over your resume for you. Be creative. I met with one of my tenured reps from the company that I work for right now, and he said, you gotta, when you're calling people, you gotta imagine that you're in the woods and all you have is a piece of wood and something sharp to carve it with. You gotta eat. You gotta be hungry, and I'm gonna keep on saying that because it's extremely important, especially when applying to these jobs, because it can get exhausting, to Jerra's point, and it can get very discouraging. You have to be mentally strong, and this has to be something that you really want to do for yourself. So all of those things really play a part, and really just taking the time to relate your prior experience to what you're trying to do now. And if it doesn't fit, then it doesn't fit, but be confident. And that's always going to get you to the next level, regardless.
I love that. I want to put this up on the screen real quick, because I've never attended a boot camp, so I don't know how to answer this question, but I would love to know. Nia wanted to know, tell us a little bit about the coursework and what the coursework is like in a boot camp, if you can. Any one of you.
Um, you want to go ahead, Jerra, or?
Yeah, I was trying to unmute myself. I'm trying to think back to the boot camp I was in initially. We didn't have homework. There was we had to do demos, 5-minute demos prior to graduating. Can somebody in the comments kind of refresh my memory, because it's just like been a blur. Everything happened so fast. We have to do a 5-minute demo, an interview, but it wasn't like homework, if that's kind of what you're asking. And I'm still going through course careers now. I'm about almost at 70% completion with that. So maybe Shafeeq can, well, of course he can speak more on that. But we didn't really have assignments or homework, just a demo and an interview to pass in order to graduate.
Yeah, and to that point, Jera, a lot of the coursework is really dependent on the course length that you have. So for example, I'm not really sure what careerist was like, if it was like a set amount of months, but for course careers is self-paced. So the coursework is really how you choose to approach it, and like I said, the drive that you have. So if you really want to coast and take your time and kind of go through that information, it's a lot. Especially if you're pivoting into this role, it's a lot of information, so it takes time to really digest it, and make sure that you're gonna move on to that next role with some type of value that you can apply and benefit from. So to Jared's point, yeah, it really depends, but it, there's no homework or anything like that. It's really just quizzes and as you go on, exams and stuff like that.
I was going to ask you, what is that project like? You mentioned that before.
Absolutely. So the project is pretty much, they're asking you to reach out on behalf of that boot camp, and you're pretty much combing through. You're finding ideal customer profile. So for those of you who are in course careers, that pretty much means you're finding the right customer fit for that company. So you're tasked with pretty much reaching out to at least five, and sending them an email, sending them a cold email. You're really speaking on behalf of that boot camp. So it doesn't have to be as grueling. It really is dependent on how you want to approach it. So you can take your time and go through it. And pretty much what they do is, I don't really want to say. I can tell you a little bit more, on offline. So because I don't really want to speak on that side of it, if you're not enrolled in it. But pretty much it is beneficial for you in the long run. And long story short, the way you do that is you reach out to five companies, but you also have the opportunity to search through hundreds of companies. And through doing that, you end up finding different companies that fit what your profile is and what you're looking for in a company. And I think that was extremely beneficial, aside from just the project, because it's extremely important to use those skills when you move on to that role. You're doing it every day. So it's fun. I got a lot of fun from it. I learned a lot through it as well. But I also found the company that I really wanted to work for, and it ended up working out. So definitely do that project. And if you need any help, if anybody needs any help, I didn't say this on here yet, but I'm one of those people that I want to help. Like, if you need help with anything, Shanae is amazing as well, and I'm going to speak on her templates and how it helped me, because it was phenomenal. But Jerry, if you have any questions with anything, definitely feel free. And anybody in the comments as well, reach out. I'm an open book, and I want to help. So
yeah, let's go to that. Let's go to that actually. So I know this wasn't on the question list, but I do want to understand. Both of you have been through a boot camp, successfully graduated. Jerra, I know you're in your second boot camp now. My question for the audience and people in the chat is, we understand that when you all graduate, you graduate together, right? So it's however many people completed the course at the same time, all of you are graduating at the same time. What did both of you do that helped you stand out from not just your graduating class, but for people who came from other boot camps and all of that? What did you do to actually set yourself apart in your interviews, in your interview prep, anything that you did to help you actually land the job?
Yeah, so I would definitely credit your templates. I used 2 of your templates. One to reach out to the recruiter.
This wasn't a template plug, by the way. I genuinely wanted to know. just let you know.
Yeah. So, but prior to not using your templates, I wasn't getting any interviews. So I saw one of your posts one day where you were promoting your templates, and I'm like, okay, let me use this. And I tweaked it, I copied and pasted some things, tweaked it to my liking, that spoke to my background. And I started using your templates, and I would reach out to recruiters. Now, listening to some people's stories after mine, I know I listened to one on Sunday in the tech mindset that I was talking about. She mentioned that she did voice recordings, and I thought that was really impressive and unique. So, I wish I had thought of that. But yeah, that's a good idea. So yeah, I would reach out to recruiters, tailor my resume to the T to fit that job description, and yeah, just put my best foot forward. I would ask great questions during my interviews and just show my personality. Like I mentioned before, I would crack jokes every now and then, and I'll just relax and not be nervous. Oh, and then I did my homework on whoever was interviewing me, whether it was the recruiter, the hiring manager, and the director. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Shafeeq, I gotta hear from you.
Definitely want to piggyback off Jared. Definitely reaching out and connecting was huge for me. One of the first people I reached out to was Shanae, and I actually have a recording of us talking on live, and we didn't know each other from anywhere. I just heard through Cyrus. I watched her interview, and I was like, wow, I love what she stands for. I love how she's speaking on how we should approach this. So if I'm gonna reach out, and that's why I always tell people to reach out to me because I'm the person that's gonna reach out to everyone and try to connect and try to learn because at the end of the day, every day you have to be learning. And when I see value, I want to learn, and I think that's naturally something that everybody should aim for. But Shanae was one of the first people I reached out to, and to be honest with you, I'm gonna keep it real. Shanae did not have to help me in the way that she did because I'm one of the people that didn't buy a template. I just used, you know, information from her. And in the end of the day, I feel like in those moments, I really didn't have it. So it wasn't that I'm not saying this to be like, oh, I got over, but I really didn't have it to even do it because I asked her, I was like, how much is your, I wanted to know, but I'm reaching out to everybody. And then also, um, to Jared's point, make sure you do your homework on that company. That is extremely important because that's going to help you perform, tailoring your performance to the person you're interviewing with, and then also knowing as much information as you can. So for me, I was binge watching YouTube videos on the company, binge watching. Like, don't bother me. I'm watching videos, like binge watching. To the point where I went into the interview, they asked me, they was like, hold on, speak to some of our product. I started speaking. He was like, all right, that's enough. You're good. And like I said, to that earlier point, overachieve everything. Just outwork. I think what really makes you stand out is when you outwork. Talent is always gonna get, you know, recognized. But if I'm outworking talent, if talent is not working as hard as me, I'm gonna get recognized because at the end of the day, companies want somebody who's not only gonna perform, but is also gonna be a great person. And to Jared's point, crack a joke, be yourself. Don't be afraid of what they might think. Hope, you should be hoping that it's a great fit. You guys connect on a real level, and you naturally want to move that process forward. Don't just move the process forward if it's not a fit for you. And I think that's extremely important. So, um, I listen, I'm an open book, guys. Like I said, I might ramble a little bit and I apologize. But if you DM me, I will literally tell you everything you need to for free. Like definitely go buy a template and then hit me up so we could talk about the template. And I got y'all.
That's the goal. The goal is to not gatekeep. So, I mean, that's why I didn't want to limit you guys' response time to any of these questions because the goal is for everybody to win at the same time. Like what y'all don't know about my templates is it took 3 people to actually convince me to sell them as digital products. All of my templates were free. at when I first started writing them. And even now, when I write a new template, the first 24 hours, they're free. I give them out for free until I hit hour 24, and then I don't give them out for free anymore. But I do it because I want everybody to understand that not everything is about the money. Now, understand that there are certain things that you create as a content creator that should generate income for you, but not everything is about the money as well, which is why I do so many complimentary coffee chats. But to both of their points, it's really important for you all to have a resource or a couple of resources during this time because like I said before, everybody is literally trying to get into tech sales at the same time. And you want to get with people like Jerra and Shafeeq that want to give you the game like hands down with no strings attached. And that is how I started to build my platform. I wanted people to feel like they could reach out to me and actually talk to like feel like they're talking to family, which is why I coin myself as a recruiter cousin because I want you to feel like we legit cousins when we talking to each other. And I don't ever want anyone to feel intimidated just because they're talking to me or just because they are talking to someone of a big platform. Like we all people at the end of the day. I do that because I want all of you to be prepared for when you go into your interview, you are also still talking to a person. And in order for you to not be and not have anxiety, to not be nervous or anything like that, you have to remember that the people you're talking to are people just like you who have also sat in the same seat that you're sitting in. And they also was probably nervous too. So I want you all to go in as confident as possible so that you can knock it out the park because y'all good and y'all are blessed. Okay, next question. So, so let's go to Shafeeq. So, how do I get my resume to be seen by someone? I filled out over 150 applications and changed my resume several times. I have yet to do any interviews. It does get discouraging at times. Where I do not have the motivation to apply? So, tell us a little bit about like being in that space and then being able to overcome it.
Absolutely. And this is an amazing question. So I'm definitely gonna read my answer. I'm gonna go slow, so I'm not, reading too fast. But if I am, definitely let me know. So this can be a result of multiple different things. In order to provide a more tailored response, I may need a bit more context, but for the sake of privacy and professionalism, I'll give a general response. Take a closer look at the positions you've applied to thus far, and double check if you're missing any qualifications. Also, and I wrote this, and I keep saying that I'm going to say it because it's important. You have to be hungry. If they're not responding to your applications, you need to go on Google, type in company name, HQ number, and call their phone. Call them. If they're not answering, go on Facebook, go on LinkedIn, find a recruiter that works at that company, reach out to them. There has to be one good heart at that company that you can contact and get your foot in the door. And that's why I keep saying being hungry, because when you just apply and apply and apply and apply and you don't get any response back, you're not giving yourself enough options, and you're also not giving yourself enough credit because you think that it's just your resume and nobody wants to hire you, when sometimes a lot of these companies are extremely busy and they have an extreme amount of people applying on a daily basis. So it's important to really take the time to exhaust all options. And you're gonna get something. And it's hard to say that because like I said, I don't know the situation. If you're on here, definitely reach out to me because I would love to help and hear a little bit more. But like I said, check those qualifications. You might not have the qualification, and if you do have the qualification, then like I said, try to call HQ. You might even get in contact with an SDR who might give you game over the phone and tell you a little secret that somebody else that's applying probably won't know. And use LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an amazing platform. That's how I was able to connect with amazing people like Jerra and Shanae and Kai. For those of you who know who Kai is, I mean the list goes on. There's an amazing amount of people here that are willing to help. I'm just following suit. So exhaust those options. And if it don't work, hit me up. I'll try to get in contact with them.
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn does work. That's how I found my job. And I've actually, because I'm a recruiter with big tech, I think I hired about 11 or 12 people using LinkedIn alone last year. So LinkedIn does help. And I mean, it's a powerful tool. Jerra, I do want to pivot to you. So tell us a little bit about what are some good interview questions to review so that you're most prepared.
Yes, so they will definitely ask you. Do you hear an echo on my end?
Mm-hmm.
Good. You hear an echo?
So not necessarily an echo, but it sounds like you have like a sound machine or something in the
That's
background.
the
Oh, okay. Then you're good.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, they're definitely going to ask you, tell me about yourself. So, you want to get a good elevator pitch down, speaking to your background, your education slash certification course that you may have taken or currently taken, work experience, and tie all that in to explain why you're excited about the role and what you will bring to the role. So, yeah, your elevator pitch, get that down. They may ask you to explain your why you're looking to break into tech, or why you're looking to work in this role or at the company. And one that I always get to, the STAR method. So a behavioral question, know how to answer that. Okay, and
Yes.
then yeah, so that's really key. And I wanted to say something for the last question you asked me about how to stand out in interviews. Excuse me. So yeah, one thing I do after all my interviews, I send thank you for the email. I mean, thank you for the interview emails to the recruiter, hiring manager, director, every single time. And you want to tailor those too. So don't send the same email. I guess, if you want to, that's fine, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think I copy and pasted mine because they didn't give me their emails. I went on LinkedIn to
Uh-huh.
Shafeeq's point. I went on LinkedIn, found their contact information, and just sent them a thank you email. I think I copy and pasted it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. So do that every time. That'll make you stand out and stay top of their mind. I just wanted to say that because for some reason I can't leave a comment here on the live, but I just wanted to say that. And thank y'all so much for the condolences too. I did respond, but it didn't go through.
So, Jira, let's stick with you for a second. So, I'm trying to get into the tech field, trying to get a start by getting a tech sales job. I'm taking a course in tech sales, 95% done. I have been applying to jobs daily. I'm getting a lot of rejections so far. How do I land the interview?
So if you're getting rejections um, with no interview, that tells me that maybe there's something that needs to be tweaked with your resume. Maybe a wrong format, or you don't have those keywords in there. So whoever answered that question, DM me please with your resume, and I can take a look at it and tell you exactly why, or give you some suggestions to get your resume looked at, so you're not getting constant rejections every time.
With that, see, y'all better connect with these people because they trying to give y'all resume review and stuff. Okay, Shafeeq. I'm pivoting into tech sales from a plant manager position in the wood industry. From a recruiter's perspective, because you've been a candidate. From a recruiter's perspective, what would give you pause on interviewing or hiring me into tech?
um, so communication and lack of preparation. So if a company reaches out to you, to Jared's point, you need to be not only sending thank you emails, but try to be as punctual as possible. Like in this time of applying to jobs, you should be looking at your phone at all times, eyes glued on your email, so that way if you get a notification from a job, you're not seeing it tomorrow like, oh shoot, they want me. You should be responding to every email. For me, my goal was within like the first 5 minutes, and I'm on them like soon as sending them back, and they're like, oh wow, appreciate you reaching back out so quickly. And they appreciate that because not only are you saving them time, you're just you know also you know you're saving them time, but you're also making an impression. This is your first impression. They haven't met you yet on the interview, so this is literally your first impression. And people forget that first email, like, hey, so and so, we're interested in moving forward. your response is the first introduction they have, so it needs to be on time. And then when you are in front face to face, dress professionally. Put something on that is going to grab their attention. Don't wear no yellow suit or anything. I'm not telling you put a tuxedo on, but wear something that you feel like if you was going somewhere you wanted to look nice, wear that. I'm not saying wear a suit, but dress professionally and show your personality as well. Throw a pink tie on, throw on a scarf for the ladies, do something that's going to be like, oh, wow, this person has personality. Obviously they have a personality, but you get what I'm saying. And then also, lastly, I'm going to just say, um, you know, be as transparent as possible throughout this process. If something doesn't work, let them know. What I'm basically saying is be punctual, be on time, get there. I was like 5 minutes early to every meeting that I had, waiting because I want them to see that I'm already in the room waiting for you. I know what time it starts, but you're gonna meet me here. So just take control, and present yourself professionally, and everything should go as smooth as possible.
I want to point that out too, because I don't know if y'all know this. Just quick tip. Anytime a candidate, or any person rather, anytime a person logs into a meeting, the people in charge of the meeting can see that you logged into that meeting, and they can see the time that you logged in. So it is best to be waiting for the person in charge of the meeting, because we can absolutely see when you've actually like logged in, and then you're waiting and you're actually prepared. So that actually is a good point. Last two questions. So I wanted to put this question up on the screen, because I thought it was a very simple question, but it was a good question. Is tech sales really salesy?
Okay, I had to unmute myself. No, it's not salesy. It's not what you would think of, comparing it to, I guess, car sales or anything like that. What you're doing in tech sales is you're identifying a company or business to see if what you like the software you have will help them to improve their business. So you're just trying to see if they're going to be a good fit for your software. Um, yeah, hope I explained that correctly.
Got it. Perfect. Okay, last question. So, Jira, I will end um, with you. So, any lasting kind of advice or impression that you want to give, or any just last few words that you want to leave with people who are struggling, who are discouraged, who are like, I'm over it. Anything you want to say?
Yeah, so I'm really big on faith. You can see right there in the picture. Um, that's one
Oh
of
my.
my favorite scriptures, Hebrews 11:1. And to that point, you you can't have faith and worry with doubt in the same sentence or the same emotion. Either you're going to have faith or not. To put it plainly, so just I know it sounds easier said than done, but there's going to be moments of discouragement and where you want to give up. But just hold on to that mustard seed of faith. Keep trying, keep working, keep networking, studying the craft. Well, not the craft, but the industry. Learn all that you can and connect with people like myself, Shafeeq, Shanae, and others that you deem helpful. And eventually you will break through into tech. But just don't give up. Hold on to that faith and do the work behind it to make your dreams come true.
Shafiq.
Absolutely. And just to touch on faith, my grandmother's name was Faith. She passed last year. But to your point, I feel like faith is extremely important through this process, and anything that you're doing, you gotta have faith in not only the process but yourself. And to anybody out there that's chasing a dream, even if it's not tech sales and you're just tuning in, believe in yourself. Put your best foot forward, and outwork your competition, because there's competition. You got people out there that's going for some of the same things that you're going for, and the way you outwork them is become a better version of yourself every day. And you'll see those improvements in your personal life and also in your career as well. So, be yourself and be better every day.
One of the things that I live by when I graduated law school, the quote on my graduation announcement was, "For the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but to the one who can endure to the end." And so throughout my 4-year journey of trying to find what I wanted to do with my law degree, it was important to remember, Shanae, this is an everlasting race until you get to the finish line, i.e., until you're no longer here. And so the goal of all of this is to make sure that you have the support that you need, that you continue to build off of the strength that you don't think you have, because you have more strength than you think you do. And to understand that the only time you fail is when you give up. My mom raised me on, we don't fail, we fix it. So if you didn't get the job after an interview, fix it. If you didn't get the response to a DM that you were hoping for, fix it. Go to somebody else and figure out who's going to answer you. Shafeeq brought up a good point. He said that at some point, somebody in that company is going to have a heart and they're going to want to answer you, because your story is going to resonate with somebody at some point. And so we all want you to keep in mind that these two people right here are evidence of diligence. They're evidence of consistency. They're evidence of, I said I wanted something and I achieved exactly that. And so I want you all to continue to stay encouraged. I want you to continue to believe in yourself. I want you to continue to understand that you are more powerful than you think you are. I do these lives because I want you all to see the manifestation, what the manifestation looks like of hard work, diligence, and the idea of never giving up on yourself. And I understand that this blue app right now is very flooded with people who are laid off, people who are discouraged, and people who are over it. But there are also a lot of people here, i.e. myself, Jerra, and Shafeeq, who have made it to the other side, who continue to try to reach back and help others. And so find your person, find who you think is going to be that absolute person that's going to push you, that's going to pull you forward, that is going to absolutely put their best foot forward to help you in the best way possible. I am going to let my panelists go. You all are also welcome to stay, but I'm going to let you all go because I want to make sure I keep my word. I actually finished earlier than I said I was going to. So I want you all to have a good night, but I am going to stay on because I do want all of you as my audience members to remember that my next live is March 20. Keep me honest, Shanae. The flyer is in front of me. March 29th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And all of my panelists will be recruiters as well as one resume writer. And so I put all of their information in the chat, but I also want you all to remember to RSVP to that event. And I also want you all to connect with the recruiters that I'm putting in the chat as we speak in preparation for that event, to make sure, you're in their network. I also want you all to please, 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 please connect with Jerra and Shafeeq. I bring these people on my lives and in my network so you all can see people who have been successful. Specifically, I'm bringing everybody on my live, but these are people of color. Okay, for those of us who are people of color, it is important for us to see other persons of color. I'm about to say other people of color, but I wasn't sure if that worked. Other persons of color be on the other side. And so it's important that we see ourselves and each other. And to definitely stay encouraged. So please, please, please connect with them. I have put both Shafeeq and Jerra's LinkedIn profile in the chat, but I will put it in there again to put it at the very top or bottom, wherever this shows up in the chat. These two people are literally people who just said that they do not gatekeep, that they actually want to help. They have both done Shafeeq did course careers, and then Jerra, I'll say it for you, did course careers as well as careerist. So please connect with them, ask them questions about their experience with being in course careers and being in careerist. And even if they have other boot camps that they may recommend, just pick their brains a little bit. That's what they're here for. And definitely continue to show them love as much as possible, because even though they've gotten to the other side, even though we all have, some of us have gotten to the other side, it does not mean the encouragement stops, because there's still very much professional development that has to happen on this side so that you can stay on this side. So I hope you all have a blessed night. Continue to stay encouraged. I am a firm believer of the Lord. So again, I always apologize for people who are not who I offend, but I do believe in Jesus. So please understand that for those of you who believe in God, prayer is essential for your peace of mind. And then whatever you decide to do for your peace of mind, whether that's to meditate, whether that's to go for walks, please do that and take your time with yourself. Please, please, please take your time with yourself. Give yourself some grace, stay patient, and continue to push forward. I love you all, and I hope you all have a very blessed night. And please connect with these two people, because they said that they want to help. All right, y'all. Have a good night.